Right, today I'm on the Zoom call talking to Rich Hassall. Rich, you've been the mystery punter for a couple of blogs. How come you decided to go public after being under the radar for decades?
Yeah, hello Simon. Thanks for making me sound really old. But very true, yeah, for many years obviously tried to stay under the radar best I can. I'd always be first in the queue to say never educate your competition. There's no value in it, it's not a team sport. But however, the world's changed, the industry's most certainly changed. And probably people you fought your competition in the past, we're all now facing the same problems. I'm sure we'll cover some if we can. And if anyone can take anything from some sort of approach I've done, absolutely good on them. And on top of all that, it's just been my job. It's certainly no Hollywood story of winning millions, losing it, or winning it all back again. None of that. It's not going to suit the gamblers. It probably suit more the punters that are just after looking at things slightly differently. And it's certainly more tortoise than the hairstyle. So fasten your seatbelts.
Just tell us what it is you do for a living.
Yeah, for just shy of 20 years I've made my living betting on UK greyhound racing. Certainly in the last sort of 10 years or so, primarily what I've done is through custom software that we designed myself and a friend. I can keep track of all going allowances, going biases, season dates, every stat under the sun, all singing, dancing. It's just a great tool. Public form just won't do that for you, and anyone out there in greyhound racing is going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's a huge edge to have that. On the punting side, I've definitely taken an approach to more sort of kidology, adapting and evolving just in ways to try and extend some longevity really, and stay sort of a grey man in betting world sort of thing, if you like.
So was there any gambling history in your family?
No history at all. Black sheep of the family. Don't think my mum, dad or grandparents or anyone have been in betting shops or greyhound tracks, certainly until I started owning some of my own dogs. I see that as an edge though, because I haven't got any sort of gambling running through my veins. I haven't got any baggage. I've got no sort of war wounds or scars from any incidents gambling where it got out of control. Never has. And as a headstrong teenager going down a dog track, it was a blank canvas. I know other friends through greyhound racing, same sort of age, and even by their own admission, they got a bit out of control in teenager years. They love dogs just as much as me, like a parallel universe, but they got out of control gambling, and they managed to turn it around though. So there's hope for everyone.
So why did you gravitate to greyhounds and not horse racing, which is probably the more popular?
Product of a misspent youth, simple as that. During the summers I was quite a sporty kid. I was always out and about, but during the winters we didn't have much to do, so all of my mates from school and stuff like that, we used to go down the dogs, 20p to get in. One of the lads' mums worked on the tote, so we could have a bet if we wanted. But it wasn't about gambling at all. We were just besotted by the dogs. It was some spectacle. There's only 5 dogs down there in Portsmouth, but grass straights under floodlights. It was incredible, and you could pick it up easy. That's why greyhound racing's been popular for 100 odd years. It was easy. What it said on the form, contrary to what it probably does these days, but what it said on the form then pretty much happened. Every dog, once you started knowing them, which you do, you're like a sponge at that age, you knew what they were going to do. All their little traits, if they move off at that bend, if they finish fast or whatever, you knew everything. You knew everything in a very short space of time. And we were just in awe of them really. So it had nothing to do with gambling. We were into the sport of greyhound racing. And to think there was like 20, 30 school-aged lads down there is quite incredible to think. I doubt we'll ever see that again.
I mean, to be honest, greyhound racing has sort of had a bit of a downbeat image, hasn't it?
I think it's a bit late to change that, unfortunately. And even since Portsmouth dog track was rough and ready, sort of falling apart when I went down there. But the racing was great. So if you took all that away, you would have gone to a field to watch those dogs and that setup and that vibrant betting ring and all the people down there. You would go anywhere to watch it. So we didn't care about that. The people that came down that weren't dog people, they loved it because it was cheap night out, and it was always promoted as that, chicken and chips and a pint, and you have a cheap night down the dogs, bit of fun. And that's all it ever was, that dog track, because we were, you know, Division 3 if you like. You had Hove, you know, the big brother of us was Hove, you know, another level, you know, on track as well. The quality of dogs down at Hove then. Walthamstow, of course, flagship. And you know, if there was an upmarket Champions League, but it was tiered nicely. The thing in dogs now, we haven't got that. There we had Division 3, we had grassroots, we had going up, and then you had your Premier League tracks, and it worked. It was a great model. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of tracks, and that sort of model's broken as well. But again, other things we might well come into. I mean, even on the terms of it being down market and people looking down their nose at it. If you know, recent years someone said, "Oh, to me, mum and dad, how's Rich getting on? Is he doing all right?" Yeah, he's doing fine. What's he doing again? Oh, he's trading on stocks and shares. Simple answer. And they're like, "Oh, that's really great, brilliant. You know, well done to him." If they say, "Oh, yeah, he's betting on greyhounds," they're like, "Oh, no, that's a bit funny, isn't it?" So, yeah, you know, it's that perception is never ever going to change. So, what can we do?
Well, I've interviewed some professional greyhound punters. They're quite big characters. Were there any characters you remember on course?
Yeah, there most certainly was. And you know what, let's say I started in the dogs in the 90s, these guys were there in the 80s and 70s, a generation above me. I mean, you know, I had the bug, but they had the disease. You know, they got it, gambling and greyhounds running through their blood. They're never going to be able to get it out. I'd listen to them, and you know, probably would have been the same for me. If I was that generation older, I would have been as purist of a greyhound as they are. You know, they saw Ballerine and Bob, they saw it all firsthand. You know, once you see stuff like that, I don't think there's no coming back. But yeah, inevitably, you know, like I say, down the dogs, it was certainly low level. The grading was miles behind Hove and Walthamstow and places like that. But we had elite level sort of people going down there sometimes. What I mean by that is, like, you know, on a Friday we'd have people come from all over the south of England to go to Pompey Dogs, because it was great action. It was, you know, it was all action, thick and fast. You know, the punting ring was vibrant, everything. So we had the Hove guys come down. We had people from all over the south, and people I know now in dogs that I didn't know then. They go, "We used to go down to Pompey then." I was like, "You live miles away. How did you used to go?" They used to go because it was a dog man's paradise in some sense, I suppose. You know, not in the glitzy way, but it was really, really fit the bill for some people. I mean, look, there was you know, sort of talking about it pretty recently. There was a huge amount of people down there. You know, there's probably 200-300 hardcore ground people, and when I say that, it's like probably that's the amount of people in the UK at the moment that are hardcore. And what I mean by hardcore, a massive percentage could make a living punting on dogs. A massive percentage went on to work in the industry. You know, some of the bookies are still going. A lot of people working for bookmakers. You've got your very own Lofty, Mike Chapman for Star Sports. He was a 3 night a week Pompey man for years and years and years, and I think Lofty actually won the Portsmouth Jack the Judge competition once. Don't know if I remember that, but that's how legendary it was. If you had to win that, that's a high level. That'd be akin to a national greyhound competition these days, but it was just down Pompey Dogs on probably a Tuesday night. Lights in, you know, you're naming lights above the city. But they were brilliant days. If I could bring back any track, I'd bring back Portsmouth like a shot. What a great place to learn sort of your apprenticeship of greyhounds. You could learn everything there.
Now, you were a young lad. Did you ever get intimidated by any of these fellas?
No, never intimidated in my life in greyhounds, no. I mean, I was going there 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, all the way up. And if anything, they were really good to you, because some of my mates' brothers were down there, and they were, again, the 80s lads, you know, that generation above me. And they were telling us about Ballerine Mob. They'd tell us about Skurlock Champ. They'd tell us, oh, yeah, we get the videos for Christmas of Skurlock Champ and stuff like that. And, you know, there was a lot of sort of Moneyball moments. What I mean by that is I saw through it just saw through it straight away. Guys down there, big brash, big egos, having it on scene from the rooftops, on monkeys on here, on the best judge, all this sort of stuff. You saw it all. A month later, they're skint. You know, I worked out very, very quickly, this game is only a battle of me versus my knowledge of greyhounds and my ability to bet. And if I make a profit, it's got nothing to do with who's the biggest punter, who's the best judge, who turns out. It's not really anything to do with that. It's more a game of this, just a game making a profit. Simple, end of discussion. So I didn't really care about any of that, and a lot of my mates would follow the money. Oh look, he's had a monkey on, he's had a greyhound on. But you don't know who that is. It might not be clever money. It might be a weight of money, but it's not clever money. It's not someone who stayed up till 4 a.m. doing the videos. It might be just some bloke who's a millionaire and had a giant chunk on something. So none of that ever made sense to me. I always had to think of everything. I mean, a lot of the guys down there, they would talk, and 99 times out of 100, in one ear out the other, you don't need it. But a lot of them, and I'm talking about guys that wouldn't win and stuff like that, but a lot of them, they'd tell me something and it would be solid gold. I remember it. It'd be like straight in there and it'd be logged. And I'd walk home from the dogs and I'd be thinking, he's right about that. And I'd keep questioning it, and I couldn't put it wrong. And I was like, yeah, he's right, I'm going to keep that, and I'd use it. And slowly I'm building up this. What I wanted to do was take from the guys that knew what they were doing. I wanted to take their plus points, but what they did wrong, get rid of it. And you might do all right out of it. That was sort of my mentality at the time. I suppose it's the same in most things, isn't it? So yeah, it was great, and the bookies used to look after me a bit because I was a youngster. So I cottoned on pretty quick that if I wanted a fiver or a tenner, the odd 20 quid, I could always ask for more with the bookies, because were they being nice? Not really, but they want your 5 or 10 or 20 customers. They want that. And also, when you're young, they probably think, oh, they're our future customers, we'll look after them. So I cottoned on pretty quick that was a proper play.
Now, you were learning all the time, but was there ever a real light bulb moment there?
Too many to mention. Light bulb moments, too many to mention. Fundamentally, stuff like when we was at school, we read a book about greyhound racing while we're supposed to be doing something in the class. And it was about season bitches, when they're 16, 17 weeks out of season. Check their weight, check their form before season, have a look at them on parade if they're walking around up on their feet, or they're, all sorts of little tips and things on season bitches. And sure enough, down the dogs were circling on season bitches and we're having success. Solid gold, bang, season bitches, as good as it gets. It's up there in the top 5. Go as far to say that 30 years later or whatever, I'm going through season bitches on trial sheets. Anything that comes over from Ireland, everything is looked at and spent time on each individual one. I'm not missing them. I mean, in the old days, you used to have season dates declared, but not anymore. Some are declared, some are not. They're not hot on it. The sport's mismanaged. So there's one way of looking at it. It's going to suit me more. It's unfair to the general public because they're not going to see this thing unless they're spending hours like me doing it. But nevertheless, it's a huge edge for me. So I'll use it to my advantage. The other thing you had at the time was what we called hooks down there, dodges. And what that is the dogs that, like the pack dogs, they're not really chasing the hare, they're playing about, mine's not on the job. If you called something a hook down there then, it was black and white, the owner would want to fight you in the car park, it was that bad. But now, obviously, we've moved on from that and people have got half a clue. And you can use those dogs to your advantage because they don't really want to win. You know roughly what they're going to try and do in a race, and they can muck another dog up and leave a race for a finisher. And you need to know these screws. So season dates, dodges, all that sort of stuff you need to know. But the biggest one of all was really to do with the ground and the weather. So it's grass straights back then. Now at Portsmouth, right near the sea, you could have 4 seasons in a day. That place would be covered in fog in 3 minutes. Well, I remember one day the rain just come in and bottomed out the mud, and the dogs were skipping away out the mud. And I remember the bitch I backed, she was tailed off. She got beat to the moon. Well, a couple of weeks later, sure enough, she's in an easier race. She's bigger odds, and it's a bright sunny day. She wins half the track. I thought, this ground, the form don't tell me. The form told me it was 20 slow, but it didn't tell me it was favouring the inside or the outside. I mean, people got a memory like goldfish. You'll forget 2 weeks ago. You'll forget that, and you'll forget certainly the intricate ones. You'll forget. So I thought I need to start writing this down on a calendar. And, I really got into it by then. And I thought, instead of meeting the lads at 7:15 going in, I'm going to get down there at 6:15 when the gates open. I'm going to take my calendar, I'm going to write down all these biases and mark them on the race card. I'm going to do all the weight sheets, watch the trials, and get a bit more serious about it. So loads of memories and light bulb moments that have stuck with me from even that young.